please come up and state your name and city or town of residence.
We're just doing 3A right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. David Webb, City of Residence is Worcester. Thank you so much for preparing this report. As the report states, item 3A would, in essence, maximize local control over hiring decisions, allowing the city manager to exercise greater flexibility in hiring and firing these employees. It also, in my opinion, allows us to ensure there is zero chance of ever hiring a bad cop by hiring someone who isn't a cop. No offense to Interim Chief Saucier, you're incredible compared to your predecessors, but that bar is pretty low, all things considered. It's a department needs to be run like a department and not based on negotiating accountability and transparency, giving as little to the public until problematic people retire on their own accord as possible. I think it's simple. Whether or not they've done their job, to answer that, you need to ask who do they serve and who do they protect, which would bring me to 4B, but I guess that one's next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who is from, who is with DEI, which is, through diversity and equity and inclusion. I always forget what the exact terminology is there, excuse me for that. But also he's a recruiting officer. What he was doing was coming up with a video shoot to put on social media to try to expand our recruitment, because we've been having trouble with that lately. So the drone assisted in that. The second one was on September 16th, 2024. We had the drone at a charity baseball game at Polar Park, and that's more for community policing and also recruitment, and getting people to come and take a look at it and try to entice and encourage people of youth to want to do a job like this. And not only involves simply arresting people, but also involves using various types of equipment.
All right, do we have any people in the audience? Please state your name and city or town of residence.
Yes, hello. David Webb, City of Worcester. This is regarding 4A, the unmanned aircrafts and drones. First and foremost, not to think too far outside the box here, but if we want to help with recruitment and promotion, maybe fixing the image of our shameful department could be the first step. But regarding 4A, I'm a Part 107 certified commercial drone operator. So if anyone wants to work with drones, it's $100 and an easy test. You don't need to participate in the oppression of the American injustice system, even if it's cool to see at events. I witnessed the October 2nd flight off of Fairmont Ave myself. There was a really cool screen in the back of the van that seemed to be using thermal to look for someone in the trees off of Plantation Street. This was the evening of the fiasco on 190 where WPD herded an armed assailant onto the highway, and I assume it was related, but watched them leave empty-handed after cordoning off the block with at least 8 police vehicles in addition to the civilian van with the screen in the back. I did pull a public records request for this evening, and the only associated record was the flight data. So I'm not sure if the arrest made or warrant applied that is referenced in this report is actually the result of the drone flight and pertinent to the report or from earlier that day on 190. In regards to incidents 1, 2, and 4, I'm not sure if using it for social media or practice justifies any more funding, but I guess it is good to have in the report. And it's worth noting that the officer received an award for promotional efforts that presumably included that drone footage at the MLK breakfast yesterday morning. That officer received an award for their work in the DEI department. So even if they only used a little of the footage, whatever they're doing was helpful in response to your question. So I guess it's paying off for NPR. If possible, I would also like a report of usage of other towns or municipalities' drones, such as the thermal drone borrowed from Auburn to hunt the unhoused community in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, okay. So since this is a quarterly report, and the next report, I think, AJ, did we actually get a report on that in 2023? The incident that Mr. Webb referred to? I think we've already had that.
Madam Chair, offhand, I wouldn't be able to search for it. I wouldn't be able to tell you right off the bat right now.
Through the chair to clarify.
Mr. Webb?
Through the chair to clarify, I'm seeking reports of non-Worcester Police Department drones, not the usage of our drones.
So that was prior to us getting a drone, I believe. Deputy Chief?
Madam Chair, if he's referring to 2023, Yes, but I think he might have been referring to 2024.
Mr. Webb?
Through the chair to the deputy chief, it may have been 2024. I'm not entirely sure when. I just know that there's a documented, well, less documented history of the Worcester Police Department using drones from, I believe, Auburn, and I'm not sure which other surrounding municipalities. And I would like a report of the usage. My guess is that this usage exclusively predates when Worcester has gotten its drones, but it could have been before we got the nicer drone when we just had the Mini 3. I'm looking for a report on using other municipalities' drones because I think that document has not been documented in the same way.
Okay, so I'll do a chairman's order, request a report using other city and/or town drones from 2023 to 2024.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. In the audience,
Yes, hello.
please state your name and city or town of residence.
David Webb, City of Worcester. Regarding 4B, it seems that the unfilled details were mostly road work for utility providers, but also private events, bars, and other requesters. I understand that requiring them for street work is a state-level thing, but the off-duty assignments are one of the main appeals of being an officer, from what I understand, based on the starting pay of 3 times their usual starting pay, if I'm understanding this correctly. The phrase "glean some information from the system" bothers me, especially a deputy chief should be able to use a system. The point of systems is to make accessing or receiving information easier and more reliable. So it's concerning that the second largest city in New England's law enforcement department doesn't have a more precise reporting system, as this report mentions. From the estimates given, and I hate math, but it seems like 42% of the unfilled details are requested by the city of Worcester. So maybe we should be requesting fewer details. I hope we're still not paying for them. In the same interest of details, but of a different kind, I would like to note that this is the first meeting since the DOJ announced where they found a pattern of practices by both the city of Worcester and its Department of Police, and that this committee could and should be seeking accountability, starting with actual record keeping when it comes to municipal employees being paid tens of thousands of extra dollars a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, good question. Through the chair, just number one, I like the fact that, you know, Officer Casey was able to, you know, be more involved with videos and stuff like that to, you know, expand recruitment. Do you know if that video is up and running yet? Where do we stand with that video?
We refer to Lieutenant Murthy here on this.
Lieutenant?
Through the chair to the counselor, I think it is. They've done several videos. I know they're trying to get better quality in general, and they had a couple aerial shots from the drone. So I think a couple times it's been used, I think. At least that once. But yeah, they're up.
Thank you. I do want to commend the department for the increase in minority hires. I think it's very important that our police reflect the community that we live with.